John, you're a particular champion for contemporary Irish music and contemporary Irish composers. And you've worked with a wide range of composers. I mean, a really extraordinary range, because you've worked with completely different generations, all writing in different styles. But I'm just wondering, and I don't mean to damn anybody, but are these composers using the instrument to its full capacity? Or are they not using it to its full capacity?
I suppose it depends what you mean by full capacity. There are a whole range of techniques you can use in the guitar, you know, all kinds of effects. And no composer uses them all. I mean, they choose from the, you know, the list what suits what they want to express, you know, and from that point of view, nobody used the whole range. But maybe what you're referring to is, do they write well for the instrument? And it is a real problem, not just in Ireland, internationally, because the guitar is a nightmare of an instrument to write for. It seems composers seem to find it extraordinarily difficult. Non-guitarist composers. I think it was John Buckley that said it's a nightmare, and he's written 47 minutes of music for the guitar, so he's had a lot of nightmares. But it is a very, very difficult instrument to write for the non-guitarist, and many composers, like John, for instance, has done extraordinarily well, because John actually bought a guitar, and everything he's written, he tried to play it, you know, in whatever level, I don't know, but he fingered it on the guitar and he tried to see if it would work. Now that doesn't mean everything will work, of course, and there was a lot of interaction between myself and himself in his second guitar sonata, for instance, and in the flute and guitar piece. And so you wind up, you know, making suggestions, and as it happens, he's very amenable to change, and he would change things to suit, you know, because he wants the instrument to sound well. And generally speaking, composers are very happy to get feedback from a performer, and are quite willing to change things.
The album In Winter Light by John Buckley, which features yourself and William Dowdall, the flautist. Yeah. For me, that's a wonderful album, and just for listening to it, and with all respect to William Dowdall, but just listen to the guitar parts, if you like, because that's what since we're talking about guitar here today, one of the things that comes to mind is John Buckley's use of guitar sonorities, and his use of, I don't know if this is the right word, John, but roles. I hear supporting roles, commentating roles, smart sophistication. He's playing into the personae of the guitar. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I think John's music is a very broad range, and he really uses the instrument. I mean, he goes from the lowest note in the guitar right to the very highest, and everything in between. It's very difficult, but it works extraordinarily well, you know, within that.
How are you finding your students at present, John? Are they interested in new Irish music?
I would say that it's been my experience that the guitarists are probably more interested in contemporary music than other instruments, and I think that's pretty evident too. Like, a lot of my students have actually become composers, ex-students. David Fennessy, well, Ben Dwyer's a student of mine, and David Flynn, Kieran Farrell. You know, a lot of them. I think maybe part of that is, nearly all of them came from playing electric guitar, and improvising was a part of the way they approach music, and maybe somehow it's a more creative way to start music. I'm not sure why, but I think there's something in that if people start off improvising, and it seems to, I don't know whether it whets the appetite to create more, or what it is, but certainly a lot of guitarists are interested in contemporary music, and some of them have become composers in their own right. But apart from that, you know, in the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries, the repertoire generally is we've little or no repertoire by the main composers of the day. Whereas in the 20th century, we have repertoire by the top composers. You know, there's some really good 20th century compositions for guitar by leading composers.
John, you commission a lot of new music, and I'm sure lots of composers are saying, thank God he does. But you do. Are there any set criteria for John Feeley when John Feeley commissions whomever?
Not really, and I don't like to impose any any criteria, because you're constricting what the composer might come up with. But I usually like see what the composer comes up with, and then you give some feedback to that, and if there are things that don't work, then you suggest alternatives or how you might do it in a different way, and they work out the details of that. But and it's very different from one composer to another. I've worked with quite a few composers, and depending on their musical style and their how they compose and that, and the language they use.